Robin Miller, I've been leading these off for a while. I'm used to you leading these off, so
No, son,
you're in the driver's
all
seat.
I can say is after 2 days of the cars in at the Speedway for the first time with these aero kits, I mean, they look like Indy cars. It looks like Chevy and Honda are pretty close. We're going to tell people how fast they're going to turn 1 here in a minute, which is
And turn 3.
and turn 3, which is pretty spectacular. But it's interesting. I'm kind of glad it got pushed back to now because the weather was nice and everybody got to come out and watch. But the thing that I think that's interesting is that you hear two sides of the story. You talked to a bunch of guys, and I did too, and they're like, Dixie was like, he's concerned it might be a pack race, and other guys are concerned that maybe they won't be able to have as many slingshots as they had last year. So
and
I
then
think
others said I've gotten bigger toes off of people than
Yep.
ever. So a lot of differing opinions.
Right. So it's a mixed bag, but I still think every time there's a restart here, it's havoc and chaos and stuff. I still think it'll be a good race.
The big thing to know, and this isn't too technical, but with the
It better not be.
well, I'm gonna get the crayons for
Yes,
you
sir.
there.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
explain it good.
Thank you.
With the 2018 Aero kit in Speedway configuration, IndyCar intentionally set the downforce numbers right about where they were last year, so that really hasn't changed. So while we know that on the road and street courses we've been to, even the short ovals, drivers have been talking about, boy, we don't have the downforce we want, it's moving, but they kind of like that. Here, not really the case. We're kind of at that place where the car has enough downforce, where it's working through the corners. The one change, though, and this is maybe where we'll get to speeds, is without those rear wheel pods, the Kardashians, as someone dubbed them years ago. Without those, the cars are actually not as fast in a straight line. So they're actually, those things did help reduce drag as the air flowed over the cars and went off the back. Those rear wheel cards really did help smooth that out. Without them, not as much. But even so, we're looking at the trap speeds from yesterday, and the second fastest we found was Sebastian Bourdais into turn 1 at 2:33.5 or so. Turn 3, though, fastest overall, Tony Kanaan, who was #1 in his Chevy yesterday, in his Foyt Chevy, into turn 3. How fast was that, Robin Miller?
235 miles an hour. So I love you fans that write in the mailbag, and Marshall read our stories and watch our videos. We got great fans, but there's a couple guys that sent notes in this week from mailbag that said, no, these guys don't have any balls, they'd run in the rain. Can I tell you something? When you run 233 and 235 miles an hour in the corner at Indy, you got balls.
And then turn.
And then turn. And
don't cry or break or pull over.
But I just think that says so much about Bourdais' desire and commitment. I mean, 233 going into turn 1 again, after his crash last. And, he's a professional, and he's like, you don't dwell on it. It wasn't any big. He told you it really wasn't any big deal going through turn 2 again, which is interesting. But, I just you kind of look at, okay, the Andretti team looks like they've had one of the best setups at every racetrack. All 4 cars have been pretty fast most of the time. Gadassi's maybe not been as fast as we thought they were. Penske's won 2 out of 4 races with Joseph. So Coyne's been right there with Bourdais. Graham's 4th in the points.
Yep.
I mean, it's, and Hinch has run good. Obviously, Wickens has run good with SPM. So there's like 5 teams and like 12, 14 drivers that could win this race. And
the best quote I've gotten so far was from Larry Foyt this morning when they were getting ready to run Matthias Laced for his ROP, and he said, I kind of yelled at Kanaan a little bit. He was like, man, you kind of set us up here. Fastest on the open test here. The only way forward is down. The only way we can go is backwards from there. You're kind of setting the false bar. He was kidding, obviously, but how's this? That's kind of our dream scenario in one sense, right? We always talk about wanting to bring the past forward. Here we are with the Foyt team. We're not saying they're going to be on pole and win the race. We don't know that yet. But when we get Foyt, Chevy, Kanaan together, Eric Cowden, their engineer, it looks like they're on the right path. We haven't said that in a while here.
No, but, I think I was talking to Larry at Long Beach about, I didn't expect Kanaan to be any great shakes the first 2 or 3 races, and neither did you. But I expect him to be one of the guys to beat here like he always is, and I think he will be. And I think that's all AJ cares about. Because I called Foyt yesterday and said, hey,
that was fun listening
why don't
to
you
that.
guys just they took a team vote and they just told you to stay home. They don't need you.
He wasn't here yesterday.
He wasn't here. He hasn't been here this week. He's gearing up for the Kentucky Derby, and I said they don't need you. They're fastest without you.
Didn't see any killer bees anywhere.
I won't tell you what he said, but he basically said, "Well, I'll probably show up for the month of May."
So we had yesterday during the 21 car open test, we had Chevys that were really strong. There were some toe laps in there, but regardless, the Chevys looked really strong, so they have to be happy. It's not as if one manufacturer was miles faster than the other, but when you do see one brand's logo kind of cropped up towards the front, that's certainly a good thing. We saw it today with the 3 drivers going through ROP, Matthias Laced, Kyle Kaiser, and Robert Wickens, who had to switch a car after having another gearbox issue. They all did fine. Jay Howard, part of the refresher crew in Hinch's car, actually. So in the span of 2 days, Hinch has had all of his teammates drive his car. Jay was fastest among the refreshers, and after that we had Sage Karam. Jay was, what, 219-ish? Mm-hmm. Sage Karam was second of those two, 218.6, I believe, and Danica was at 218.5. Interesting seeing her meet with the media at the end of the day. Someone who is and has become, I would say more so than when we knew her last time here in 2011, incredibly aware of everything she says and how it could be received, misconstrued. I'm hoping when she comes back for race week, even just practice, there will be a little bit more relaxation, like, hey, you're among friends here, okay? We're glad you're going out the way you came in. We're not trying to bite your head off too much.
Well, I think, though, I kind of understand what she made. It a real point that somebody asked her about what was her emotions, and she said, or what was how charged up were, and she was pretty low. I just wanted to get today over with and get this refresher done. I don't mean that in a bad way, she said. She goes, I love being back here. And I think that's the thing. You're like, okay, I got to go out and get this refresher thing done so I can actually start working it. What was funny was to hear her talk about how heavy the steering was, because she's used to power steering.
And she's been working out like just a crazy person as well. But they can do some changes to the car. Caster, which is not something you hear spoken about very much, but there is settings with how you position specifically the lower A-arm on the car, and whether you extend it out or pull it in at the base and basically tilt the upright. That will change the weight, how heavy the steering is. So my guess is if they didn't already do it midday, they'll certainly make a caster change so the steering wheel is a little bit lighter for her. But then, wasn't it Kyle Kaiser? Or any
Kyle Kaiser.
He was like, man, this is easy.
Kyle Kaiser was, after he completed his rookie this morning, he said, you can believe how light the steering was. So it just goes to show you, when you watch these guys.
Put Danica in his Juncos car, and Kyle in the Carpenter car, and maybe, who knows, they'll have what they want.
But it shows you, too. I think the in-car cameras have been really good about how hard it is to steer a car on a road course. So when you hear that, and you just think about Danica's used to power steering, even though it's a 3,500-pound car. So, but I want to say one thing. Gabby Chavez was good both sessions yesterday.
Clean.
And they were right there in the top 5, top 6 all day. And I think Gerald Tyler, adding him as an engineer is a great move for the Harding team.
And Matt Curry as well. I mean, he might not have the most stellar record in terms of big victories and all kinds of stuff as a race engineer, but he does have talent. Adding in Gerald Tyler, he's been with everybody, but most recently he was Townsend Bell's engineer here when Townie had some really strong runs. So you add in Gerald to that program. I think Gabby and the Harding Racing team, I think they have a little bit of spoiler in them as well. This is looking like a fun month of May, and we've only had 2/3 of the field here roughly running, so there's even more fun to come.
Well, I think the TV ratings, will rain out. That kills you. The Phoenix race certainly wasn't much to watch. Long Beach was pretty damn good. Barber, nobody's fault there. But if you look at what I think the buzz from the fans is, they really are excited because it looks like an IndyCar again. We've got different winners. There's a lot of potential winners in this thing. Indy's been, the last 3 or 4 Indy 500s has been as good as we've ever seen. So I would say it's going to be a fun month of May. And Danica had a good line. She goes, I wanted to come back here and make this a fun May. And she goes, Ed Carpenter has been great, and working with Matt, her old engineer, Matt Barnes. So I think between her being back and all the regulars, the good rookie crop, I mean, there's a lot of storylines. That means he's going to do a lot of work.
I'm putting it on you, you lazy old SOB. And she did have Matt Barnes on her timing stand today, who she knew and worked with back in Andretti days. But her race engineer, as I found out today, is going to be Don Halliday.
Is it?
Yep.
Big old Don's coming back.
Don's coming back, so that is great. Her chief mechanic is someone I worked with 20 years ago. Great to see him. One of the other mechanics on their team was on Alonso's car last year. I'm like, you're a star bleeper, aren't you? You're always just looking for who's going to be the most popular driver in the field and trying to sign up there. So, anyways, we're having fun already. We've got the manufacturer's test tomorrow, Wednesday. I'll be here. He'll be here. But since it's a manufacturer's test and they rent the track and set the terms, he and I are going to try and do an end-of-day report there. But we can't film anything. We can't shoot anything. That's the policy set by the manufacturers, and we will gladly abide by that. Other than that, I think we're going to try and meet up with Danica for a little brief one-on-one interview around lunchtime tomorrow, and I'll probably take a nap under one of the benches.
You'll be out.
Between.
I predict you'll be out in turn 2 with your camera in a tree, filming things, and they'll throw you out.
Shh.
All right.
Take us home.
Thanks for watching RACER.com. Marshall Pruett's videos, photos, stories, essays. He does it all. I just carry his camera bag. I'm happy to be here.